Erick Schoenfeld, TechCrunch TV here. And I have the president and CEO, two different people of Atlassian, Scott Farquhar, CEO, and Jay Simons. Welcome.
Thanks.
Atlassian is one of the fastest growing enterprise software companies right now. Give us some numbers on how big you are.
Yeah, so Atlassian, we're about 450 staff in a whole bunch of offices around the world. We have about 200 people in Sydney, and we've just expanded our office in San Francisco. We've got about 120 people here.
Wow.
Looking for another 70, actually, if anyone's out there interested. And we sell to 17,000 companies. So that's not people, 17,000 companies in 130 countries around the world.
And how many seats, how many actual users do you have?
We have somewhere between 5 and 10 million users on a daily basis using our software.
Wow. How does that compare to like Salesforce?
I don't track their seats, but they have a large number of people as well. But I mean, I guess compared to Salesforce, where you have a small number of people using it in an organization, the sales guys would be using it primarily. Software development is a collaborative process. It involves everyone in the company, from the marketing team to the CEO to the finance team to the support guys, who want to all get involved in how a company builds software.
So explain what your product is. It's product management for software development, essentially, for people who build things in companies, and when those things are software related, they'll use Atlassian as a product management platform.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, getting software out the door these days involves a whole bunch of people, right? Like involves, writing the specifications and requirements documents, and that might be the marketing team. Then through all the tasks of, coding and releasing software and tracking all those tasks. And so Atlassian provides the tools to manage that collaborative process, right? To capture requirements, to turn those requirements into all the tasks and manage them getting done, and the project management side of things, and finally all the way to the release documentation and planning all the releases. So our tools, I guess, involve thousands of people in organizations.
And you went for about 8 years with no venture capital funding. You were completely bootstrapped.
Yep.
And then when was it? Last year you raised $60 million from Accel?
Yes.
18 months ago.
18 months ago. So that's an incredible, you don't really hear about that too much, although increasingly you are, where Dropbox also, they raised some money, but they didn't raise a lot of money, and then they went out and raised $250 million.
Yep.
What was it that allowed you to do that?
Yeah, I guess, a few things. One is that, in 2002 when we started, there'd be no way to get, venture capital like it was the dot-com bust. And so even if we wanted to, we couldn't have. But I guess we felt we built a company the old-fashioned way, right? Like by getting customers, revenue, happy customers, they tell their friends, and we build the company organically. So yeah, we built the first 8.5 years, built our company to a $60 or $70 million software company without any external investment.
And what were your revenues in the last calendar year?
Yeah, so in the calendar year just finished, we did about $102 million in sales.
102, and that's up from what the previous calendar year, 2010?
Yeah, it's up about 35%.
35%, and you're profitable?
Yes.
And are you more or less profitable than Salesforce on a net margin basis?
I say we had 40 straight quarters of profitability. Since basically for 10 years we've been profitable every single quarter, and we have healthy margins that have managed to fund the business. So
and you're here in New York. I imagine you're talking to a lot of investment bankers.
Yeah, like we keep in touch with investment bankers and other people in the investment community. At some stage in the future, that would be the next logical step for Atlassian.
IPO
is to reach out to the public markets. And,
well, if you're profitable and you have $100 million in revenue, I mean, isn't that the new sort of rule of thumb that once you hit that threshold, you're good to go?
Yeah, well, I mean, so for us, like I see that becoming a public company is just sort of one step in a long process, right? So Atlassian's been around for 10 years. We're just getting started, and I want to be around in 50 years. And I want Atlassian to be around in 50 years. And so, a long term that becomes from a founder-led company to a company with a great board, a great set of investors, a great management team. And so, going public is one sort of step on that long process.
So you have like 400 some people.
Yep.
How many salespeople do you have?
We have no salespeople.
No salespeople.
No one at all.
So how do you sell your product?
Well, so we have people who come to our website. So we spend a lot of time on marketing and making sure that people have a great experience with the Atlassian brand. And they come to our website, and instead of having a sales guy call them up and say, when are you going to buy? When are you going to buy? This week, next week, the week after? we allow all our customers to evaluate the software themselves. And we're at the end of the phone if they have any questions, but we're not going to badger them, trying to get them across the line.
And it's also word of mouth,
yeah,
et cetera.
Yeah.
But also, like most businesses, we think the model is broken, right? Like they just don't give customers information. Instead, they hoard information so salespeople can run interference. And what we've chosen to do is publish the price list, right? Like, let people know exactly what it costs. You don't need to discount then. It is what it is. And then just make the experience in the product easy to try and easy to buy.
Now, recently, you changed your whole pricing structure, right? It was, $150 for 10 people per month. So it's effectively $15 per person per month. Now the entry level is $10 for 10 people per month, so $1. So what allowed you to cut your costs that drastically? And why did you do it?
So we worked on kind of re-architecting our on-demand platform. Just to back up, we deliver the products both on-demand, public cloud, and then on-site private cloud.
Okay.
So the customer has the choice.
What's the mix?
About 85% of our business currently is behind the firewall.
Oh, it is, okay.
Kind of private cloud. But on-demand, public cloud is the fastest growing part of our business.
Is one more profitable than the other?
No.
Yeah, no. In terms of the cost for you to deliver it, is it any different?
No, I mean, the interesting thing about having both models is we get to see both sides of it. And so, whilst it costs us more to host the products in the on-demand sense, that is offset by the fact that it's easy to support the product, right? You don't have to worry about different environments and databases and things you have to worry about behind the firewall.
But are you supporting two different?
It's the same code base.
Same
delivered
code base.
at both places.
Okay.
And I just to finish off what Jay was saying is that we spent a long time re-architecting the products, right, to reduce that on-demand cost. And there are a lot of vendors who talk about running their stuff in the cloud, but they still actually deploy a whole new instance, and it costs them, hundreds of dollars per month to run an individual customer. And so we re-architected everything we have and to get that cost down, and then we pass that cost savings onto our customers. So if you're a 10-person team, for $10 a month, you can get access to the best development tools to build your products.
And so I imagine the take-up rate must have really gone up after you reduced your price. What did you see? What was the impact of that reduction?
Yeah, in the last couple of weeks, so we only released it, less than 2 months ago, and we've had over 3,000 new customers. Take that up.
You went from 14,000 to 17,000, essentially.
Well, the 17,000 is actually a few weeks old, that number. So, but yeah, we've added another 3,000 on top of that.
Is that the 17,000 counts the $10 ones or not?
No, it doesn't count those $10 licenses.
Okay, so that's and why don't you count the $10 licenses?
Well, so I mean, a lot of software companies try and have the biggest number possible on their website, right? So they add in the free licenses, the licenses they gave to their mom, the ones that are freemium versions that someone used like 2 years ago and don't use anymore. They pile them all in to their public numbers, right? And we were guilty of that a little bit once upon a time, and so. When we launched our new website a few months ago, we said, okay, let's be conservative. Let's count only the customers that have paid us real money, that are actively using our product and paying us for maintenance, right? So we've taken the most conservative number, and that gives us 17,000. If you add in, we have actually 60,000 of those $10 licenses out there on top of that. We have 10,000 open source and non-profit licenses we've given away, and we don't count the thousands of trials we get every week. In those numbers, right? So 17,000 is paying corporations, right? Everyone from Bloomberg, who use it with 15,000 people internally, or Netflix, who use it with 600 people internally, or even old school grocery firms, like Kroger, who have 2,000 people internally. Each of those is just one of those 17,000.
Is Facebook still a customer?
I don't think Facebook allow people to comment on whether they're a customer or not.
Well, you're not Facebook. All right, let me ask you this. 2012, what can people expect? What kind of news coming out of Atlassian?
So we've got some upcoming product releases. We just come off Confluence 4, which is our sort of biggest release ever, where we rewrote the entire editing experience for our collaboration tool. And Jira 5 is coming out shortly, and we realize Jira now is central to everything people do on a software development project. And so Jira 5 is all about making that more central. And so we have better API support for people to put tasks in and get tasks out of the system. And we spent a lot of time on improving the integrations between other systems, linking between the requirements document or linking to help desk systems. So that's kind of the big release in Jira 5, and we're going to launch with a whole bunch of integration partners, and stay tuned.
Okay. And then final question is, so you're starting with the people who build things in companies, right? As opposed to people who sell things, which would be Salesforce, or people who record things, which is like Oracle. Are you happy with just owning the people who build things, or is that a Trojan horse to get at a bigger, part of the enterprise?
Yeah, that's a really insightful question. So we look at the building part of a company is kind of, to me, where the real value is added, and it's also the process that involves the most number of people, right? So, Salesforce have spent a lot of time trying to break out of CRM. They built the Chatter product, and that's kind of their Trojan horse to get access to the rest of the company, so they can then sell them other things. At Atlassian, we actually do sell to the entire company because software is such an integral part to so many different departments. But in the short term, we're interested in making that. I mean, there's a huge market in building stuff at the moment. But in a year or two, you might see other products that also sell to the same group of people.
And then, what's your social component? Do you have like a feed, of updates that people are part of different groups, kind of like a Yammer portion of your software, and then people can go into actually managing specific tasks?
I think it's all the things that you would expect, right? Like, so I mean, if you're, and this is kind of important, right, for millennials that are entering, corporations and trying to understand what collaboration tools are available for them to work better with people that they need to work with. So, our product would be as familiar to them as Twitter and Facebook and kind of things that they use as consumers, where you get an activity feed of things that are happening around you. You can @mention people, right? If you want to specifically direct something to somebody. So all that sort of social interaction, social discovery is part of the Atlassian platform.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming and sharing all this. And I guess we'll talk to you next time when you're here for your IPO roadshow.
Thanks for hosting us.
Yeah, thanks, Erick.